Hello viewers, welcome to our channel Light. In this video, let's learn regarding client credentials in Oauth 2.0. The client credentials can be used as an authorization grant when the client is a resource owner or when the authorization scope is limited to the protected resources under the control of the client. The client requests an access token only with the help of client credentials. The client credentials authorization flow is used to acquire access token to authorize API requests. Using client credentials, authorization access token which is acquired only grants permission for your client application to search and get catalog documents. If you see the diagram here, the client authenticates with the authorization server and makes a request for access token from the token endpoint. The authorization server authenticates the client and provides access token if it is valid and authorized. Let's understand few concepts of client credentials. Obtaining end user authorization. The authorization endpoints are the URLs which makes the authentication request on the authorization server, in which the resource owner logs in and permits to access the data to the client application. The authorization endpoint can be defined in three ways: authorization endpoint, redirection endpoint, and the token endpoint. Let's understand one by one. Authorization endpoint. Authorization endpoint can be used to interact with the resource owner who permits the authorization to access the resource of the resource owner. First, the user accesses the resources of the resource owner by using the client application. The client application will be provided with the client ID and the client password during registering the redirect URI. Next, the user can log in via client application on the authorization server which contains authorization endpoint. Authorization endpoint redirects the user with URI and the authentication code to the user. Next one is redirect endpoint. The user accesses the page located at redirect URI in the client application. The client application provides client ID, client password and authentication code to the authorization server. And the last one is token endpoint. At this point, the client application interchanges the client ID, client password and the authorization code to obtain the access token. The client application sends these credentials to the user along with the token. Once the user receives the token, it can be sent to access resources such as Facebook, Google, etc. to access the resources in the system related to the logged in users. Now let's understand authorization response. The authorization response can be used to get the access token for accessing the owner resources in the system using the authorization code. The access token is given by the authorization server when it accepts the client ID, client password and authorization code sent by the client application. The authorization code will be issued by the authorization server which allows the request by using the parameters. First one is code. It is a required parameter that specifies the authorization code produced by the authorization server. The lifetime of the authorization code is maximum 10 minutes and the authorization code cannot be used more than once. The authorization server rejects the request and cancels all tokens that are issued previously based on the authorization code if the client application uses the authorization code more than once. And the next one is state. It is also a required parameter if the authorization code is available in the authorization request. The authorization server provides authorization code and grants access to the client application by using this format. It is the default MIME type of your request which must be encoded in such a way that controls, names and values are escaped, space characters are replaced by plus sign, name value pairs are separated by unsymbol, etc. In our next video, let's understand obtaining the access token. If you like this video, please share with your friends and don't forget to subscribe our channel Light.